And I found money from early in 2015. I found over $1,500 that was sitting in one of our vaccine accounts from one of the vendors. They just never did anything with it, and I was checking them all out, and here was a credit from April of 2015 that was never, reimbursement was never asked for, a credit was never asked for, to put it toward your vaccines. And so between the vaccines that I sent back last year and the money that I found, my flu vaccine costs went from $6,000 down to $2,700. So that was really nice. So I did check out the rest of my vendors. I had a $500 credit from last April that we just currently did get a check from the company for that. So it's worth looking into. I never would have dreamed that I would have found that, but I'm like, what is this credit from 2015? So I called them up and they're like, that's the way it works. You either have to ask for a refund or ask for it to be applied to your bill. And no one did that. And so it just sat there. So I was pretty excited that day. I'm like, yay, money. Anyway, so things are, I'm sure I haven't even thought of everything, but kudos to Joni as well. Debbie recently ran some numbers for me, and we are actually billing more and having more revenue than any of our predecessors before, which is really a good thing. I don't know how that all works and how it came about, but Debbie said that we have way more revenue coming in than our predecessors, and we're doing more billing. So that's awesome. So kudos to Joni for that. She's doing a great job, staying right on top of it now, billing every month, where we were 8 months behind when we started. So now she's getting all the billing done every month, so that's good. And the other thing, when I came to ask you guys for that credit card thing for Availity, the internet program that we do our billing with, they must have got a lot of flack because it was going up to $125, and then I got a contract back from them that said they weren't going to increase our fees, so it's going back to $79.
Nice.
So that's really awesome. Yeah. Because actually they were increasing their price and they weren't really offering any better service. And so I think a lot of people just complained, and so they sent me a new contract. I signed it and faxed it back, and so it's going to stay at $79 instead of $125, which is good. So
Every little bit.
yes, every
Yeah.
little bit helps, that's for sure. So I think budget-wise, I think we're right on track where we need to be. So do you guys have any questions for me?
I don't.
Nope. Okay.
I have a question for you guys on Teresa's behalf. We had agreed in the budget process that everyone in the general fund was gonna be asked to hold back 10% to help with the cash reserves this year. Public health actually saved or decreased their expenses from last year by 45%. So I would like to let Teresa know that she's not included in that, based on the extent of the savings. You guys good with that? I mean, if you can, that'd be great. You've already demonstrated, that you're extremely frugal. Is that good with you guys?
Okay with me.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right.
So we are moving forward with our renter. I did get a copy of her license and her liability. I sent you guys a copy of the rental agreement. It's just a boilerplated one I got off the internet. I gave her a copy just to review, and she's getting all of her equipment and hoping that by the end of October that she will actually be working. she's just kind of getting all of her loans and her equipment before we decide on a rental agreement, and she's a little bit concerned about that because, you know, if she only sees one patient a week, when she initially starts, you know, that's not gonna leave much for rent. And I said we would work that out. We could do a month to month and, you know, till she gets going, and then, you know, if we can just recover utility costs, I think, initially for startup and just do a month to month lease. And then when she gets flying, then we can increase that rent. Is that good with you guys?
Yeah,
Sounds okay to me.
she's not just a private business that we're giving special treatment to. She's
Right.
actually serving our underserved in the
Right.
community. So, with that, I see this as more of a partnership with public health than the county giving special
Yeah.
treatment to a private business.
Right.
So
And-
I'd be good with it.
Yeah, the thing with this is that so many dentists are not taking Medicaid now. I think we're all aware of that, and, you know, she is going to take Medicaid, which is huge. And then she's also gonna have a partnership with a dentist in Bozeman who takes Medicaid, so that she can do referrals to, I think there's one dentist maybe in Helena that takes Medicaid, so it really is, I mean, that's what public health is about, is to kind of, you know, serve the you know, the people who are on limited income. And so I think by her taking Medicaid, which is, we know, 50 cents on the dollar, is a service to the community. So, you know, and she loves to do children, so I think it will be a good partnership. So, you know, she was just worried that we were just gonna charge her a whole bunch of rent, and she might have, you know, one or two patients the first week, or, you know, however, I mean, it just takes a while for a business to get off its feet, you know, and stuff, so. I know Mike came and saw me, had some questions, Matt had some questions about that, and, actually, she was going to go talk to Matt because they're neighbors, and, she was gonna go over and talk to him and kind of explain it a little bit more to him. But then I found out that Matt sold his business, so I'm sure that's part of the reason that he was concerned, so. But that is not her intention at all, is to take business away from the local dentist. That's not her intention at all. It really is to serve, you know, the community. I mean, she's very community minded, she's just like me, so I really think it'll be a good partnership, so that's where that is. I did send a copy of that rental agreement to Corey, so, but I haven't heard anything back from him. I know he's busy, but,
Oh, he's gone until the 19th. He got called up in the guard.
oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have no meeting next week because we'll be at Mako conferences, but we could put that on the agenda for the 26th.
Okay,
That way he'll have a deadline and know that it's coming.
okay.
It's cutting it close,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't seem to me that there's anything alarming. In fact, you know what I'll do is I'll send a copy to Mako's chief legal counsel and
Okay,
just ask Brian if he sees anything glaring that needs to be addressed, but for the 26th.
okay, sounds
So
good.
it should be pretty easy to
So,
vote.
does she know are there any other counties that are participating in this program?
I'm not sure.
It would be nice if we could find out what somebody's charging for rental, cause I'm not getting figures back from anybody.
I know,
Because the thing is, she's not renting the office, she's not gonna be in there 30 days a month.
right,
So it's hard to figure out what a reasonable fee would be. If she could contact, maybe she knows some other dental people that are doing this and see what kind of a price that they're paying for their rent.
okay,
Because if we go off you can't charge her $16 a square foot
right,
for the month, because it's not like she's occupying it full-time and she's not using utilities full-time.
right.
So it's pretty hard to gauge what a fair price is
Yeah,
to be. And I guess that what you could do is I don't even know how you would even consider it. I guess that she needs to do some research and maybe bring us some numbers if she can as far as what other people are paying.
okay, I'll check.
Because
with
like the
her.
paperwork, it's required that she be under public health.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not really like she has an option to go anywhere else.
Right, but it's pretty new, and so there just isn't, I don't think there's a lot of people have really ventured out to do it, but she might know somebody that's
Yeah,
doing it.
maybe she knows somebody where we can get some
Yeah.
kind of a.
Yeah, but she did tell me, you know, initially, she's gonna have to keep working at her job until, you know, she can schedule enough
established.
people where she can actually have that be her income, so, yeah.
It would be nice to be able to maybe set whatever the utilities are for,
Mm-hmm.
like, say, the next 6 months to be revisited in January.
Yeah,
Maybe that
January
would be,
1st.
would be to set your utilities and then have it revisited, have her keep, she's gonna have to have records of what she's seen anyway.
right,
Right,
yep,
and then we can readdress it for a 6-month period and see, you know.
Yeah.
Like you said, anybody starting off new needs a little bit
oh,
of
yeah,
Well, especially when
The
you work
time to
with
get
50 cents
started.
on the dollar, it's gonna be
yeah,
tough to keep.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Does Matt, he doesn't do Medicaid?
a limited amount. So most dentists are, once they have hit their max for that, they just don't take anymore.
Okay.
So there's a certain amount that they'll take, and then after that, they don't take anymore. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and with the cost of medical equipment, you can understand where somebody who's got a full staff
mm-hmm,
and then all the insurances that go with it can't afford 50 cents on the dollar. And
right,
that's really where public health comes in and picks up that gap.
right.
Yeah, I think if this is done well, like what I think your vision is and what my shared vision is, I think this is actually going to drive more business to our local dentist.
Mm-hmm,
Granted, it would be Medicaid or Medicare, but it'll be those things that are caught early, that are lingering and not getting addressed. This is a great opportunity, I think, for
yeah,
our
I
community.
think it is too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and even though the revenue might be small to begin with, I mean, it's still revenue. Right.
absolutely, every little
It's
bit.
an empty spot that we can fill and serve the community and still benefit public health, so I think it's all a win-win situation,
I agree,
so.
yeah.
Yep, so, and so I told Kelly if it would work out, maybe next time we meet, or we're meeting monthly, right?
Mhm.
With all the department heads, maybe she could come with me and meet you guys, and if
That'd
it
be
would work
great.
out, she didn't have to work that day, so. I said otherwise, I'll just bring her over someday when you guys are all here, so you can meet her and.
That sounds
So,
good.
but she really does have kind of the same vision of just really being community minded and serving the public. So that's good. So.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Teresa.
Mm-hmm. See you next time. Or
Sounds
before.
good,
Okay.
yes.
Get some of this mail here, these fire systems, I wonder if there's any other quotes coming in, make contact them evidently. The alarm panels and that's gonna be phased out and you're gonna have typical.
I'm gonna start doing that. Just fade stuff out so I can sell them
Right.
whether you want it or not.
You guys good with paying this?
Yeah.
All right.
It's not like we have a choice, is it?
Well, no, and it is gonna save us money in the long run. Yes, we're paying $4,200 today, but our annual is going to be considerably less than it's
And
been.
what it's been or what it's gonna be, cause weren't they jacking up the rates or something?
They were, yeah. So it'll be a cost savings down the road.
I got this letter from Elliot on, somebody do the minutes for the planning board.
is something that I've talked to Nicole about in the past. I'm really glad that the planning board actually discussed this. We need somebody who can just sit and take minutes at these meetings. And in fact, it's way above your pay grade and your expertise to be sitting with us here. It's the same with Anne. But for the planning board meetings, we are paying too much money to Nicole for her to be taking minutes. She is the county planner, the community development coordinator. She should be running those meetings, not taking minutes for them. I was wondering, we haven't been utilizing our 2 hours a week with Janaea. I'm wondering if we couldn't actually task Janaea to be the minute taker on our time for planning. It still leaves 4 hours. If you take Board of Health minutes, planning minutes, and then you subtract that from the total that she gives the county, that's still 4 hours a week in filing for the commission. What do you guys think? I mean, she's already in staff, still keeps her below the hours that we've set.
I say as long as she stays below the hours we've got set, I don't have a problem with it.
We're addressing Ron Elliott's letter
Oh.
to the commission. And what I was just saying is, and this is true of Mel also, I'm gonna repeat that because it's doubly true. But we pay both of you guys way too much to be taking minutes. You and I have talked about this before. Janaea's already on payroll as a clerk. What if we had Janaea come and take minutes for your planning board meetings? She's supposed to give the commission 2 hours a week to file. Franklin's filing pile is about a foot tall, so that hasn't been done, but nobody can maintain sanity by doing all that in one sitting anyway. So if we can give her some variety and also some job training, that might benefit her as well. There's still plenty of hours in the week to get going on that pile, so if that would work for you, okay, cool. Well, we'll address that with her then, and we just need to make sure that she stays 8 hours a week, that works, or 8 hours a month, that she works for the commission. Ideally, if we could keep that at 2 hours a month, and you guys, I don't know how often you meet, but is that doable, do you think?
Yeah, we generally only meet once a month. Meetings are about 2 hours, and it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes, half an hour at the most to type up the minutes.
Okay,
So I
So-
shouldn't need her for more than 3. Anyway,
perfect, I think that works then.
awesome.
All right. Cool. I'll send an email on behalf of the commissioners. I'll send it to you guys so you can see, and if you have edits before it goes out, I'll give you a deadline.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I'm gonna make this official. I move that we pursue Ron Elliott's request on behalf of the planning board for a minute taker and utilize our shared clerk for those purposes, not to exceed the hours per week for the commission.
I'll second the motion.
Move your second, as the motion just stated. All in favor, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, Nicole?
And Val, is she gone?
I don't know, she hasn't. She
She's
showed
got
up,
an
so-
appointment?
Yeah, but she hasn't been here, so I'm assuming,
Okay.
I move on with Nicole.
I should probably make a comment about that for the minutes. Franklin?
If you need to call her and make me wait, that's fine. I can go do other work, whatever you feel.
No, let's just keep moving on.
Okay.
The first item on there is that my update. I think I have all of my stuff in chronological order here in front of me, but okay. Updates on community development department. So I broke it out into planning, 911, and community development. As far as planning goes, I have 5 subdivisions right now in process in various states. Most of them are minors, one is a major. I've got a meeting today with another potential developer, and I have another meeting later on this week with another potential developer. I've had a lot of meetings, face-to-face meetings, phone calls from realtors requesting information. I'm still not sure, I know we had a discussion during budget time on do I charge them for that, but I don't feel that I can necessarily charge for someone to ask me questions, correct?
I agree.
Okay. I spent about 2 hours last week with a realtor going through the vault and trying to piece together some easements and some things that I have questions on. I still feel that's part of my job to assist these folks, even though they are not necessarily funding my department. So I'm continuing on that track until you tell me differently, is what I'm saying. I'm not really comfortable with telling someone that I can't help them find information, or they have to pay me to help them find information, but there might be a more gentle way of going about that. But at this time, I'm still just proceeding as I have been. When people have questions, I answer them. When they want to come and meet about these things, I set up time to meet with them, even though there's no money involved.
Mhm.
So,
Hey, Nicole, on that, you're kind of the expert on this field, you are. So you kind of have a sense when somebody comes in and it's outside of the normal, your normal 9 to 5. Helping somebody find something in the vault kind of makes sense. That's what you do. That's part of county planning, and you're helping them sift through the county records. If it's something that, I guess I'm wondering, can you put together a proposal for if somebody comes in and it's beyond regular county planning, what that would look like? Yeah, you charge for that. Those instances would be, for example, but not limited to this, and this, and at a sum of such and such an hour. Is that something you could do? And
Yes.
I don't have a clue what those examples would be. I leave that to you.
okay.
But I would imagine that there are examples out there that are beyond what the public should be paying for.
Right.
Isn't when people come in here looking for easements and stuff, is that not, isn't that part of the title people's job?
You know, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what the
Because
what
title
looks
insurance
like.
is supposed to be reviewing all that stuff.
Okay. In this instance, it was a realtor from the Bozeman area, Gallatin Valley area. And he had called and made an appointment with me. He actually wanted me to go and do the research myself. He said, if I give you this information, can you can you go do the research and bring it back to me? No, I don't do that. So that right there, I was not going to go and do research for people. I felt more like I was leading him through the process, because I don't know, I know that you have, but I don't know if you folks have ever tried to do research in the vault. I think it's put together as best as it could be in there, but you sometimes have to, you start down this rabbit trail, you find this piece of information that leads you all the way over here, and before you know it, you've got the table filled with information, trying to piece together this puzzle to get the answer that you're looking for. So I did not intend to spend 2 hours with this gentleman. But one thing literally led to another, finding this deed and, you know, this book and page and this plat, and trying to piece together this easement that we were looking for. That may or may not have been a function of my job. It makes me uncomfortable to tell people that I can't help them when I know that I physically can help them, that I can physically walk up there. I made the time, you know, for this gentleman to go up there. But I don't know where that line is of helping someone. He'd been in a few weeks earlier and Ann had helped him, and he still didn't find what he needed. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer to that is, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know what other counties do.
And I would suggest that if it is a gray area, let's err on the side of providing the service. And one of the reasons for that is we want Bozeman realtors to be selling our lots. Because the minute they're subdivided, thanks to Hijacker, and I think it's pretty clear how I feel about that decision, this county's losing money. Because what a subdivided lot is collecting less in taxes than many of our grazing land around the county. which is ridiculous, and we have some examples, thanks to Heidecker, on that. So what we need is a subdivided lot to be sold and a house to be put on it. Because with a subdivision, we reach a sweet spot. The first 10 houses, depending on the size, are a burden on the county. But once you exceed that 10 arbitrarily, then you start actually bringing in more money than your services are costing, and that's what we need. So I would suggest err on the side of providing the service, but if it's one of those that's clearly they're taking advantage of you, or this really should be on their dime, then we should have a structure for charging that, in my
Certainly.
opinion.
Okay.
I think that we need to keep track of that, because the more scarce lots are gonna get, the more of these people you're gonna have coming in here constantly researching everything.
Right.
And if you're taking 2 hours a day to go with this guy to find stuff that he's getting paid for it. When you sell a lot, you get a certain amount of money off that lot, so he's getting paid to do that research. We're paying you to advance our development, but we're not paying you to go do research. And I think we need to keep track on that, because like I said, the more lots become less available, the more people are gonna be finding to look at all this stuff. And if you start selling older pieces of property, they're gonna have easements that are buried under a mile of paperwork. So we're paying you a wage, he's getting paid a wage to do that, but we're not getting anything back for that money. And if he's not gonna come here he's not gonna not do that work for $50. It doesn't bother him to pay you $50 to go look through all that paperwork. I think that you need to start assessing that fee. It's just another thing that we're giving away. And if that person's looking at that lot, they're not gonna blink at $50 looking at these lots. But we're giving away $50 every time we do this. So I think we need to establish some kind of a protocol by establishing how much time we're actually spending on this stuff.
Well, I'll start keeping track starting today. Well, I can even look back at last week, and I can tell you, how much time I spent with realtors, and I'm not meaning to down talk realtors. I'm simply saying those are the ones that request the most information from my department.
And they're getting paid
Emails
for
and
it.
phone calls, lots of emails from realtors. They need the information in order to complete their picture to make their sale. They complete that by coming to the county. I'm sure that your office gets probably even more inquiries than what I get, but, okay. So anyway, that sort of went off on a tangent there, but I wanted you to be aware that that's happening. I'm not really sure how to deal with it, so I will start tracking hours spent doing research or providing information to folks. And then maybe we can come up with a fee from there.
And
And then
maybe
working on
too, if you wanted to, when you look at that and start tracking it, if you see that somebody is, way high on the number of hours, maybe you set annually that you'll provide such and such amount of time. Beyond that, there's a charge.
Sure.
So, I would leave it to you to get creative
Okay.
on some of that, but something that has structure that it's easily understood.
Perfect. Okay. Also in planning, I'm going to be attending the upcoming Montana Water Law Conference the end of this month, so I'm really looking forward to going and getting all of that information. It's going to be a long 2 days, but it will be a lot of good information. So I'll bring back everything that I possibly can to share with you. Regarding 911, I've been in conversation with Undersheriff Harris, and we are moving forward. They have agreed to pay an invoice for 209 address points that they do not have. These are the 209 addresses I assessed in that time period of them not funding my department. So that tells you also how many new residents we have moving into the county. A lot of them. Anyway, those 209 address points will cost the sheriff's office $3,215.47. I came up with that figure by working with Debbie on what do I actually cost the county, not my hourly wage, but what do I cost the county. I cost the county, I put this in a half hour. Well, $15.39 a half hour, so $30 and, 78 cents an hour. Assigning each address takes me approximately a half an hour, so that's how I came up with $15.39 per address, times 209. $3,215.47 the sheriff's office has agreed to write a check to my department. And I will give them those addresses. we're still going to keep moving forward on this 911 funding through the state 911, possibly. So Brandon and I are still working on that. We're trying to come up with either, if we do it this way, a per item fee, so a per road if they want atlases printed, or is it just a blanket fee per year? So, also in 911, I was selected by the 911 Advisory Council to serve on the 911 statewide plan, the GIS assessment subcommittee. So we are working on assisting Montana with transitioning to next gen 911. We are going to be meeting weekly for the next 6 weeks. However, those are teleconferences, so it won't include any travel time. So
Congratulations on that appointment.
thank you, I think.
Yes.
As far as community development,
You shut that thing off.
I've got issues like this 7th Street in North Pine that I'm going to be talking to you about here shortly. I'm going to be working with hopefully, that's another vote that you're going to be making today, but I hope to be working with the Community Recreation Board regarding this BOR county land acquisition piece. I'm volunteering my time with Missouri Valley Marketing and BCDC. Missouri Valley Marketing is a pretty dynamic group, and we have an upcoming fundraiser, a zombie run for the county, which I'm really excited about. Really to raise money for Missouri Valley Marketing so we can promote business in all of Broadwater County. Census mapping is starting to take place. I'm getting census calls and conversations from the I don't know what their names are, but anyway, the folks that go around for census, and they work on their maps to put this all together. So I've been meeting with those folks pretty frequently. I'm still working with the joint land use study. There's not much activity to report on the Broadwater County side of it. Lewis and Clark, Fort Harrison, they have been working on military affected areas and working on some regulation. I think that they know that we are not really excited about any type of regulation here in the county, but so we're still working, even though there hasn't been much to report to you on our side of it. I'm still working with them. I'm serving on the BLM's Resource Advisory Council. We meet 4 times a year. There's an upcoming meeting in October. This is my 2nd year with that Resource Advisory Council. And then lastly, I wanted to chat with the commission and specifically Laura some more about working with the local advisory council on mental health and the Bureau of Health on the showing of the Paper Tigers video at the school, because this month is Suicide Awareness Month. I think it would be a good effort to lead into. But so that's all I could think of to share with you. Those are my updates. Did that take 15 minutes?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
One more thing too on that is I did talk to the city council and they agreed that they would like to jointly with the commission appoint you as the appointee for the land acquisition board.
Perfect.
So you're appointed by both the city and the county.
Perfect. Okay.
So thanks.
Thank you.
And congratulations on that too.
Thank you. What's the second one on there? I should have just brought my agenda. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, pay for that survey.
Okay. Perfect. And then we lead into the
Brad
Meadows.
Campbell.
Perfect. Okay. So I came to you maybe a month ago to talk to you about this 7th Street and North Pine conundrum we have here. This is just a representation of what it may look like. I did get a bid from Schauber Surveying, approximately $3,000 to do this survey. And just to refresh your memory, this is North Pine here, 7th Street. The county has this yellow piece of property here that's not in the roadway, but really in the roadway if they do want to expand that road. So if the county is interested in participating in a survey, before we even lead into any discussion on taking or moving boundary lines, I think it's really important to have this survey done so we can see the flags on the ground. Commissioner Delger and Mayor Evans and myself went out and looked at this piece of property. It's pretty easy to tell when you're on the ground where those lines are, but I think flags would help for everyone. So the city did agree to cost share in this if the county is willing to cost share as well. So $1,500 from the city and $1,500 from the county.
times. Survey.
I don't, from what I've talked, have you talked to the city lately? Did you go to the meeting last week?
I did not. I'm going to the one, is it tomorrow?
No, it would be.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah. No, I didn't go last week.
I did, I don't recall them talking about this last week.
Okay.
My impression from what I've talked to is that they're not, they were gonna drop the issue and they're not looking at expanding, they're not looking at putting the street in.
Okay.
From what discussion I had with Mike. I would still like to see the boundaries defined as far as the county is just concerned, as to who's using what part of our property for what purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if that's the case too, then that would,
I think the city is still proposing to do this survey.
okay.
I'm not
That was the
positive.
last I heard at that meeting that
Yeah,
the three of us were at, when they made the motion. I think
so
it was in favor 3-2.
if Schaber was to do this, did your request also include that entire southern boundary of that piece of property as far as the property with the E.G. Perry building and the Lavender Corner? Was that part of their proposal, or are they just going into specifically into this area?
That was not part of their proposal, but I can ask them to include it, because their bid actually says $2,500 to $3,000. So I was just going high end in my request for money, just in case, because I would hate to, I would rather come to you and say, hey, it wasn't as much as we thought, than to come and say, hey, can I have some more?
I would think that if we're gonna have them do that, we have them do that line also, so
Okay.
we know exactly where we're at behind the Perry building and on Ritter's
So you're
property.
talking about the whole, so what would that be, the southwest corner and the southern boundary line?
It'd be the southwest corner to the southeast corner.
To the southeast corner, all the way.
Back, it'd be back basically from Pine Street to Cedar Street.
Okay.
If they would be agreeable to that, I'd be agreeable to paying for the survey.
Perfect. And I will accost you right here and make you give us a bid. But when you're done, here,
Okay.
when we're finished, maybe we'll go talk about it and see what the difference would be. Okay.
So I guess we'll just wait on that to get more information, right?
If that's what you, yeah, if that's what you want to do, and find out what the cost would be.
So what you're proposing, Mike, is that we do nothing at this point, and just wait for a cost estimate on your proposal?
Yes, I would think so. I mean, I would, yeah, I think we'll word, I'd be in favor of wording it that way.
Just as a counterpoint, it might be cleaner to do them two separate ways, two separate surveys. The reason, and it can be one survey, but two separate projects. The reason is we're talking about a cost share with the city for this.
Yeah,
We don't wanna confuse what's going on over here with the city, because it doesn't involve them.
yeah.
I would like, when we go to the city with the 50% cost share, if we choose to do this, to have it very specific, that this is what was done and this is what we're sharing.
Okay.
That would be the only thought there, is so that they don't get confused or concerned that we've added something else for them to pay for.
Well, they can pay for something, I would be in favor of doing a 1,500 cost share with the city for the location of these pins. And also at the same time, I guess that would just be one motion.
Okay. But I will know, per your instructions, to speak with the surveyor about how much will it cost that, and that portion will only be picked up
Charged
by
to
the county. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and second to accept this cost share with the city on this, as mentioned. All in favor? Motion passed.
And I think it's important to add for the minutes and discussion that this is a city project that we have been asked to assist with.
Now are we on to the meadows? Okay. We'll turn the floor over to you, Mr. Campbell.
You want me to do it, or you gonna do it?
You can,
All All right, my request is for renewal of my application. The project is about 95% done. Yeah, the only thing that's really not done today is Shelper putting stakes in on the monuments on the corners. And the reason we haven't done that is because I'm still haying the fields, and I'd like to keep haying the fields until we put it on the market. So we will probably, Bernadette and I were just talking recently about, she can put the monuments in, put everything at ground level, so that when we mow, we won't have the interference there. I think we'll go ahead and do that, you know. Yeah, you guys don't know what one of those stakes will do to your mower. But if we can get another year's approval, I really didn't want to develop this or sell lots in this subdivision until I sold a few more in the first phase, and just keep it as a hayfield. It's a good hayfield, you know. So if you're kind enough to give me another year, I really intend to get it finished this fall and be back here for final approval. I know, I think I said that before,
Right.
but sometimes we get wrapped up in, you know, we have 15,000 bales of hay this year, and it kind of takes most of my energy. So, but if you can go with me another year, I'd certainly appreciate it.
Well, if I may, you're in luck, because we already voted to approve this a couple weeks ago.
You know, and my intent with that subdivision is to do it exactly the same as phase one. You know, I paved the street, and it's not part of my requirements for the approval, but my intention is to pave the street also, as soon as I sell a couple of lots. But the market's starting to look better, you know, and I think you've noticed that, and I was just listening.
Right.
Maybe there's a little hope that we might have a few new neighbors here. You know, I've always been a proponent of growth. I think communities that don't grow, you either go one way or the other. So,
Healthy growth is good,
I think growth is good,
yeah, and it certainly beats the alternative.
Well, that's true. I've seen a lot of communities in my life that tried to keep it the way it was, and never stays the way it was, it just gets worse. So, I'm pleased we're trying to grow here in Townsend, and I think that's great, and I'm trying to support that, so.
Well, I will move to reaffirm our previous vote to grant this request for a one-year extension for the Meadows Phase 2 subdivision.
I'll second the motion.
They moved and seconded to extend this for another year. We're at on this Meadows. They're right.
This will be Meadows.
Everybody's mixed up on the saying of, okay. Beyond that, we'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay.
Is it Whit,
Thank
this
you.
is just Meadows or the other is Windy
The
Meadows?
first one's Meadows, and the second one's Meadows too.
Oh, I thought there was a Windy, wasn't there a Windy?
Oh, Windy Meadows is the name of the street.
Oh, okay. Okay, got that
Yeah,
clear.
I'm not very original, yeah. Yeah, but never got any kudos from my imagination.
Okay.
But
Any
thank you.
question? Okay, thank you, yeah, thank you for showing up on it.
Nicole,
Nice work.
thank you.
Thanks, Stevie.
Nicole, and I go way back.
Nicole's still here yet, she's not off yet.
For a while today.
Okay, I guess it,
All right.
See you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I'll get with you.
Yeah,
I'll get it done.
We will get it done sometime.
wait on there. Your land.
BOR? Okay, thank you. So you and the city are needing to create a board, a community recreation board, to oversee the 10-acre piece of property that the county will be acquiring, city county, I'm sorry, will be acquiring from the BOR through the trust board. So Laura went to city council last Tuesday and presented, I should back up, I had 5, I actually had 6 applications. One of them being Bernadette's son Jesse, but he actually works for the golf course, and so I want to talk to you about creating another board to oversee the boards. Bear with me there. Anyway, the city appointed Adam Six and Susie Hamilton as their representatives. For the county, you have the option of, and the city also appointed me as the city-county liaison. So the way this board will be structured, there are 2 appointees from the city, 2 from the county, and 1 city-county member. So, city appointed Adam Six, Susie Hamilton, and then myself as the city-county rep. For the county, you have Lorinda Spencer and Alyssa Draper. And then, if you so choose, myself as a city-county rep.
I will move that we appoint Alyssa Draper and Lorinda Spencer as the county reps and co-rep with Nicole Brown for this board.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Yeah, move in second. To go ahead with the 2 people mentioned on the board and yourself. Move in second. We'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Perfect. So, I want to speak to you also about creating potentially an advisory council to this board. Not that I want to get too weighted down with boards, but I think it would be important to have someone from the Softball Association, someone from Old Baldy Rec, which is the golf course, someone from the Rod and Gun Club, and then potentially a neighboring property owner. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is just before I came in here, I had the gal whose family just purchased that piece of property, the old Reagan Ranch, and she wanted to know what was going on with this piece of property because of course they want to protect their interests, but they are absolutely, they're young and full of energy and they are all for recreation. They just want to be sure that it's done smartly. So anyway, I'm thinking that an advisory council to include them as an adjacent landowner would be a really smart move. So someone from Old Baldy Rec, someone from the Softball Association, someone from Rod and Gun, and then this adjacent landowner. Did I miss any entities that are involved?
What about landowners to the south of this land?
They are the landowners to the south.
She's talking about the Poor Farm, not.
Yeah, oh, you're just
I'm
talking
sorry,
about that
I'm just
little
talking
chunk.
about the Poor Farm.
I thought you were
piece.
talking
Yes, I'm
about
sorry.
the whole thing.
No, I'm just talking about the landowners of the Poor Farm. I'm sorry, not the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
The board will be for the whole thing,
Correct.
but I agree with you that, let's add a landowner, but I don't think it's feasible to add all landowners that are border this whole thing.
And they're
Well,
always
I just
welcome
thought
to
you were talking
attend the
about the whole
meeting.
thing, that's why.
No, I'm
the
sorry.
People on the other end, okay.
I'm sorry.
Now, these will be
probably didn't
public
make that very
meetings
clear.
and they'll certainly be invited.
But as far as an advisory council made up of those 4 entities, I think would be wise.
I like that idea.
So, as I mentioned, Jesse Swenson submitted his letter of interest, and he is, what is his position with Old Baldy Rec?
Secretary.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
secretary.
And so I think he would be a good representative of the golf course. So now we would just need to reach out and find someone from Rod and Gun Club and someone from Softball Association, which, Delger, I think you'd mentioned previously you'd like to see Jackie Rickmeyer.
Yeah.
So if I could reach out to her and form this advisory council. And simply just to provide input on their interests only. I think that that's the important part of the advisory council, because you don't want you want their interests to be heard, and you want their interests to be able to be a part of the discussion, but you don't want someone necessarily sitting on the board whose only interest is this association, or I shouldn't say only, the one that they feel most passionately about. So anyway, that's why I think an advisory council would be helpful along with this board. They wouldn't have to meet nearly as much as this board would meet though.
And the trust board has non-voting members, and they often come to the trust board meetings, so this council could do the same
Mhm.
if they wanted.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would move that we move forward in appointing an advisory council as described.
I'll second the motion.
Move to second appointed advisory council as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Do you know, just because I'm not at all familiar with Rod and Gun Club and their membership, the president is whom? Do any of you know who that might be?
I do, it's Steve.
Sauter?
No. it's
No, but
Steve-
I think he might be interested.
Okay.
Steve Leatherman?
Yeah, Leatherman, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then Matt West will represent the city.
Oh, perfect, okay.
And if it's okay with you guys, since I've been working on this along with me, I'd like to represent the county.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. So I think as long as the rest of these folks say yes, I'll move forward. I'm not going to advertise the advisory council positions. I'm literally looking for hand-picked members on the advisory council. So, just so you're aware of that. I'm not going to send anything out looking for members for the advisory council. So Jesse said yes, Laura said yes, Matt said yes. I'm going to contact Jackie, and then I will contact one of the Steves at Old Baldy.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, at Rod and Gun Club. So, okay, perfect.
Okay,
And then I had an amended agenda item. Do you have the amended agenda in front of you? Did you get that?
I do not.
Okay. I went and posted it last Thursday. I added on Lake Vista Lot 3 minor subdivision request for final. So, if you're ready for that.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. Was that all of the items that you have on there, right?
Yeah,
Those 4? And then this is 5. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss something. So this is Lake Vista Lot 3, subsequent minor subdivision. They are requesting final plat approval.
which is that now?
This is just north of Townsend. This is Highway 287 here. There is a home currently almost complete, but under construction here on lot 3-2. Grandview Manor is here. Canyon Ferry Mansion is here. Highway 287, Railroad, further that way. But both of these two came in for preliminary plat approval, close in time to each other. Lake Vista Lot 4 is still not ready for final, but Lake Vista Lot 3 is ready for final.
And these aren't the ones that are right on the highway, right?
They are.
They're already building a house in the other one.
On this one, right on this lot right here.
They're already building another one right
Oh,
here.
here. And they can, because this is already a platted subdivision lot. So they can absolutely build on lot 4, even though it's going through the process of preliminary. If this wasn't already created as a subdivision lot, they could not. But they're utilizing the DEQ approval that was given to lot 4, not subsequent lot 4, but to lot 4 only. They're using that DEQ approval and building a home there. Similar to what they did here on lot 3 too. So they started construction on lot 3, a home here, and then they decided that they were going to subdivide this further, and so they simply worked those lot lines around the construction of the home.
So all he's really doing is avoiding doing a major.
Partially, but you know, we've talked about this before. There's not really any difference between a subsequent minor and a major. There's really little difference. They still have to go through the public hearing. They still have to pay their fees. And he's actually paying more fees by doing 2 subsequent minors because all of our fees are à la carte. So the base fee is high, the per lot fee, the more lots you add on is minimum.
So is he required, is he required to do any parks and recreation?
No, that's the only thing that he's not required to do for a subsequent minor. That's the only difference between a subsequent minor and a major.
What about fire suppression?
He still has to work with the fire department. And this get close to you so I can pass you these papers to pass around if that's okay.
Perfect.
Alright, so I'm gonna start with 1 and 2, this is the DEQ approval. Number one states plan for sewage treatment and water supply shall be submitted to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality for review and approval. The certificate of subdivision approval shall be filed with the final plat. And then number 2 states a stormwater drainage plan shall be submitted to DEQ for review and recommendation. So, number 1 and 2 are both included in that DEQ approval.
So what you're asking for is a preliminary approval on these next bunch of lots, is that right?
They already have preliminary approval on lot 4. And it's identical to this, it's just flipped over here. So today I'm just asking for final on here.
How do they come in and get a approval for one lot before the whole thing is approved?
Because they originally came in, oh gosh, I don't know when they received final approval, but they originally came in and got final approval on a 5-lot subdivision. So there are 3 more lots, but there are 2 more identical to this right here. And then at the end, one of these lots is turned sideways. So this is actually a 5-lot minor subdivision that's already been given approval, final approval. And then the developer, what's that?
A couple years ago.
Yeah, do you remember was it 15 or 14?
I think so.
Anyway, yeah, it was a few years ago that it was given final plat approval. This 5-lot minor subdivision.
I think too, historically, had preliminary approval for 30-some lots for a major subdivision, and they paid their fees and they got preliminary approval on that. Then the market fell out in '08. So then they came back and said, let's just do a minor subdivision, we'll make some ranchettes or, people could own horses. And so they did the minor subdivision and got that approved. And that was, I think, early 15. And they've had them for sale and nobody has shown any interest in large parcels. So then that's why they came back now and they're trying to do some minor subdivisions to put them on small acreage to try and sell them. So these people have, they've paid the fees and everything for a 33 or 32 lot major subdivision, and now a minor subdivision, and now 2 more minor subdivisions. So this was not a plan. They have gone, not in a very monetarily manner. They've spent a lot more money than if they had just went one way or the other from the very beginning. But now they're just trying to sell them. That's why they're building the homes, spec homes, and selling them, trying to recoup some of this expense they